Most people believe addiction starts with substances and weak self-control. It sounds reasonable, but it creates a serious problem. Because if addiction is just about drugs, then we never question the environments that train us to suppress ourselves in the first place. We never look at the homes, schools, and systems where love depends on performance. Safety depends on obedience. And if obedience is rewarding and vulnerability is punished, then addiction doesn't begin with rebellion. It begins with compliance. Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective, Dickie Dredd. And this is part 16, sorry, there's a mistake there, part 16 of the video series, and we're on chapter 2, The Childhood of Fog. Section 14, Love as Condition, Obedience as Currency. I was never one of the gifted ones at school. School wasn't a stage for brilliance, but a training camp for survival. I did just enough to pass unnoticed. The right answers, the right silences. Bullies can smell difference at 50 paces, so I learnt to perform. Laugh at the right time, nod in the right places, never look too clever or too slow. Fit in just enough to be cool, but not a threat. It wasn't ambition, it was insurance. Rogers called this living under conditions of worth, safety trading for compliance, a pattern that began long before the classroom. Even then, I was already looking for the seams in the rules. At secondary school, I was the only boy in a mod jacket instead of a blazer. A small thing, but deliberate. It said, I'll play your game, just not in your colours. That thread of quiet sabotage ran right through me. Foucault reckoned that power always invites resistance. The jacket was my first footnote to that theory, a small essay in saying no without actually saying it. At home, love had the same terms and conditions. Praise was rare and had to be earned. Calm depended on obedience. I became an expert at passing the salt with steady hands and swallowing questions that might ruin the peace. Alice Miller wrote that this kind of child, the one who becomes fluent in meeting other people's needs and mute about their own. I wasn't thriving, I was disappearing. Lang called it the wedge between experience and expression, and I wore that wedge like a tie. Obedience worked for a while. Erich Fromm described it as a refuge from anxiety, a way to dodge both punishment and freedom. That was me all over, dutiful on the outside, restless underneath. The mod jacket proved there was still someone home, but mostly I stayed masked. When drinks and drugs turned up, the mask cracked. They didn't invent rebellion, they revealed it. The shy watcher turned into the loud one, the last man standing, the one still dancing, still pouring, still pretending that stamina was the same thing as freedom. Looking back, I can see the pantomime in both acts. The obedient boy and the manic reveller were using the same trick, avoiding conflict through costume changes. Marte says addiction is a search for connection in a world that punishes vulnerability. He's right, intoxication gave me permission to speak, but even that honesty was conditional. Be funny, be wild, be lovable, just don't be real. The same performance runs through the culture of control I wrote about earlier in section 13. Writing One Flew into the Cuckoo's Nest helped me see the pattern. The family, the school, the job, all running on the same choreography of obedience. The real turning point wasn't rebellion, it was resignation. I stopped performing. Freedom, it turned out, wasn't louder, it was simpler. The end of trying to earn my own existence. Yet even simplicity can't stay still for long. Once the mask fell, something restless began to move beneath it, the early tremors of escape. And tomorrow we'll continue with chapter 2, section 15, Early Escapes.